Hey, what's up, guys? Jack from Jaggy Sports here. Got Rajan in the house, and we're ready to get into NBA playoffs round one. So today's games are the Miami Heat and Cleveland Cavaliers, and then you got Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. I think it's a deadlock that we know Cleveland's going to win the series, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jag. Yeah, I think, this, the Heat, unfortunately, they're just undermanned, right? With the Jimmy Butler trade, really set them back. Andrew Wiggins, he had a good regular season with the Miami Heat, but he just hasn't brought that same energy in the playoffs. And I just think that he's been cast in a role that he's not really totally comfortable with. If he's your third or fourth guy, I think you're fine at this stage, but you're asking him to be number 2 or number 3 to Bam and Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
He just hasn't looked totally comfortable as a Heat. He did play okay during the regular season.
Yeah.
But just Miami as a whole, I just feel like they're due for a reset this summer. Some pieces that need to be moved around. But yeah, it's looking like Cleveland's going to end this for sure quickly. So.
It's probably going to be a sweep, right?
Yeah, it'll be a sweep. Miami won't win a game.
Do you feel like Pat Riley is his time to step away?
Yeah, I think it is time for Pat Riley to step away. I think he's been around for a long time. He's had a lot of success with the Lakers, with the Knicks, and with the Heat. I think it's time to step away. Maybe put Eric Spoelstra in that role. Maybe a dual role for Eric Spoelstra, where he's the president and he's the coach.
Yeah, I don't know when's the last time that happened.
It's been a while. It didn't work out too well for Stan Van Gundy in Detroit.
Oh, exactly.
When he was the president and the coach. It didn't work out. It had mixed results when Doc Rivers did it in the Clippers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think that maybe Spoelstra steps away as coach and just becomes president.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? So now you have no superstar in Miami. Tyler Hero, as good as he is not a superstar.
No.
Neither is Bam.
No.
And then they got a bunch of good B+ players.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's not gonna get the job done. So that's Miami, Cleveland. Let's talk about the series that everybody is talking about too.
Right.
The Houston Rockets taking on Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Now they had a very chippy last game.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, where's the series going to go? Is Jimmy Butler going to be okay to continue?
Yeah, I think he's going to try to return tonight.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Butler will play. I just my gut feeling, and I think he does play tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The Warriors had a big win last game. Steph Curry was amazing. I think if you're the Warriors, you really need to approach it like you're down in the series and not up, because you don't want to go to Houston with the series evened up, right? You want to make this series end as quickly as possible and rest up for the next round.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the Warriors. You're seeing on display what's going on with Houston right now, and when the games tighten up, they don't have a go-to guy. There's not a guy that you can put the ball in their hands and it's an automatic bucket.
Not a superstar, right?
Yeah, not a superstar. Jaylen Green, he'll give you 38 points one game, 7 points the next game.
Yeah.
30 points one game, 6 points the next game. Jaylen Green is a really good player, but on a championship team, he's probably your third best player.
So, if we rewind back to the trade deadline, do you feel that if they would have gotten Kevin Durant, let's just say hypothetically, if they would have gotten Kevin Durant, you speak of closers. He is the closer. And so if Kevin Durant was on that team and all he did was give up a couple pieces here and there and draft picks and whatever, I feel Kevin Durant would have actually benefited them, but they just didn't pull off that deal.
Yeah, I think what the Rockets wanted to see is they wanted to see what they had.
Yeah.
Right? They know they overachieved this year. They won 58 games without having a superstar.
Yeah.
That shows you how good the coaching is, and that shows you how the potential of their young players.
Yeah.
Right? Their potential's there. You have Amen Thompson, right? Jaylen Green, he's got potential, right? To be even better. Terry Eason.
Yeah.
Sengun. Right? These guys all have potential. What they need is that veteran scorer.
Yeah.
Right? So if Kevin Durant, he's a possibility, right? He could be added to that team, but I think what Houston's dream scenario is they want Devin Booker, right?
They want Devin Booker?
Yeah, they want Devin Booker because he kind of fits the timeline.
Yeah.
Right? Durant is like in his late 30s,
older, yeah.
right? And Booker is in their age group, sort of.
Yeah.
Right. Houston may be a couple years older, but he's not even 30 years old yet, right?
Yeah.
But Devin Booker, from what I read, it wants to stay in Phoenix, right? So if you're Houston, do you pivot to Kevin Durant? And what do you give up for Kevin Durant? I don't think if the Rockets do acquire Kevin Durant, I don't think they're giving up multiple first-round picks for him.
Well, because he's in his last year in his contract, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to give up a guy. You're going to give up the farm for this guy, right?
Yeah.
And so, who do you feel coming out of that series?
I think it's gonna be Golden State.
Golden
Warriors
State.
will win. I think they'll figure it out. There'll be a couple more chippy games, right? There'll be a couple
100%.
more. It's a slugfest, right? So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of more antics for sure, right? There's
Yeah.
gonna be if you're the Warriors, you just gotta make it out healthy, right?
Yeah.
You just have to, you see the way that Houston defending Steph Curry right now. There's a lot of grabbing and pulling around those screens. When you get around the screens, or like grabbing and holding,
100%.
roughing them up a little bit, right? So if you're the Warriors, you're just trying to get out in one piece and hope that Jimmy Butler is at least 90%, then he can move forward.
So, okay, now we have Golden State, in your opinion, coming out of that series. In turn, they would face the winner of the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Lakers. Now, this series, I think, because the Lakers, they don't have enough. They don't, right? And I know they have Luka and they have LeBron, but you're already having trouble against Minnesota, right? So, who do you feel like is going to come out of that series? Because this is going to go like maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, before the series started, I picked the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
I just thought that, okay, who are the best players in the series, though, right? It's Luka,
Yeah.
right? And then it's Ant, and then it's LeBron in that order, probably, right? The top 3 right there. And then Austin Reeves. Those are probably the 4 best players in the series.
Yeah.
And so I thought Lakers in 6. I'll still stick with that, right? Lakers. I think Luka's gonna have a big game, right? I think he's got some big games left in him.
Yeah.
I think Lakers will figure it out and win. The reason why is I feel with Minnesota, there's a lot of like your starting point guard is like a Mike Conley who's well past his prime. Like you're asking Mike Conley to run the offense and he just doesn't have it anymore, right? And I think with the Wolves, their IQ kind of comes and goes. They play hard, they play well together most of the time. But I think the issue is that they don't get a lot of scoring from Rudy Gobert. So you're getting nothing from him, basically just some rebounding and some defense.
Yeah.
They don't get Randall kind of comes and goes. He can only go left. He can't go right. Right? And then the other thing is that McDaniels is a very good player, but it's kind of like with the Jaylen Green thing. One game, 20 points for McDaniels. Next game, he might only have 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Right? Just like so, I think what the Wolves need to take that next to win the championship, they need another scorer on that team.
Yeah.
And they need a point guard. Right? I don't think they. Yeah, so that's what I just feel like the playmaking on the Lakers is going to be better. When it matters, the playmaking on LA will be much better because Luka can make plays, Reeves can make plays, and LeBron can make plays. On Minnesota, you're really looking at Ant Edwards, and Ant Edwards is still growing and evolving and turning into that playmaker.
Yeah. So you feel like the Lakers are going to come out?
Yeah.
So we're not going to get in the second round just yet. Lakers versus Golden State is what the consensus is right now. Let's jump over to the other west side. It's OKC taking on Memphis.
Yeah, OKC, Memphis. That series ended, right? Oklahoma swept them 4-0.
Yeah.
Right, and I think that I expected that. I know Ja Morant got hurt in Game 3 when they were up 29 points at one point. Even then, even if Ja never got hurt, it probably would have been Oklahoma in 5, right? Memphis. They're another team that's in flux, right?
So you mentioned like OKC. Moving on, right? You mentioned yesterday Scottie Pippen Jr. This guy is so underrated, and he needs to start. So do you feel like Ja Morant was on his way out? I'm not saying leaving. I'm just saying trading.
Like Scottie Pippen, he's better than I thought he was.
Yeah,
I remember the Lakers drafted him.
Yeah.
And I feel like, he kind of reminds me of a younger Tyus Jones. Yeah. Like they actually the Grizzlies have him playing the way they used to have, the way they had Tyus Jones playing back when Tyus Jones played there. And you notice back then when Tyus Jones was on the Grizzlies, when Ja would miss games, Tyus would step in and they wouldn't miss a beat. They would just keep winning. Yeah. Same thing happened this year too. Like Grizzlies won a lot of games with just Scotty running point.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not getting much from Ja, whether due to his attitude, due to his injuries.
Yeah.
Are you better off just cutting out your losses with Ja and just starting Pippen? Like, what are you really missing?
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Like, now you have to think with your head, right? You have to be like, okay, in the same draft class, you had Zion, you had Ja Morant. Mm-hmm. Now they have not lived up to the potential because, I mean, how many playoff games have both these guys actually won, right? Okay. So now it's just you have to actually consider the fact that maybe it's time to move on from Ja.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to ask yourself, what are you really missing?
Yeah.
Well, like Ja, he's a very good player, very talented player, but we've seen these guys before, right?
Yeah,
Like Steve Francis, Stephon Marbury, right? Very talented players, high volume, low efficiency scorers, right? Drive the hoop, let's see what happens, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you may be better. Yeah, I'm not saying you just give them away, right? But you at least listen to offers, I think, on Ja Morant. I think the same thing goes for Jaren Jackson as well. Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane. I think you really gotta. I don't think anybody on Memphis should be untouchable. I think you have to listen to offers on everybody.
Oh yeah, I think you do, and also the fact that you just cannot give someone that much money, Jaren Jackson Jr., and him not producing the way that he should be. So now that was done. Now let's talk about the Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. In my opinion, other than the Detroit Pistons and the New York series, the Clippers versus Denver Nuggets is the series to watch.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, there's Clippers, Nuggets, the best series by far.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard has reasserted himself. Like he's back on the map now, and he's played very well. That Game 2 performance where he went 15 for 19 on the road.
Yeah.
That was insane. And like he. This is going to be a very interesting series. Series are now tied, right? And Game 5 in Denver, the winner of when series is tied 2-2, I think the winner of the home team wins 83% of the time.
So yesterday you sent me a text message, and you said that Michael Porter Jr. left the bench during a scrum fight, like a fight.
Yeah.
According to NBA rules, if somebody leaves the bench, they're suspended for the next game.
Yeah.
I have yet to have a text message or anything like a tweet or anything regarding that.
I know. No one. It's really interesting because he was asked about it yesterday, and he was kind of embarrassed and like kind of like sheepishly said, "Oh, I'm very thankful I never got kicked out of the game," because as he was leaving the bench and he was kind of running towards the
somebody stopped him.
Someone grabbed him. And if you're the NBA, you're looking at that. He looks like he wanted to get involved.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? It's just kind of like, okay, well, why is this announcement taking so long?
And like, not only in that, I didn't see it on any of the ESPN pregame show. I think they're just gonna. I think under David Stern.
Yeah.
Was when Amari Stoudemire had stepped over the line when it was Phoenix versus San Antonio.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was second round, I think, and there was a scuffle going on the court, and Stoudemire had stepped out to come off the bench and didn't really do anything. All he was doing just looking to see what was going on, and he got suspended for that.
Yeah.
Adam Silver thinks a little different with him. I think he's gonna let that slide.
Let it slide.
Yeah.
I think for the sake of the playoffs, just because they had a very low play-in tournament ratings, and then the regular season was very low. This is the series to watch.
Yeah.
You don't want to take someone away from that. So maybe Adam Silver does continue on with this. I don't know, but who, in your opinion, comes out of this series?
I picked Clippers in 6 before the series started. I got to stick with that.
Yeah.
It's really even. It's dead even. You watch this team play. You can't really tell me one team's better than the other. I will say this: the Clippers. I think their bench is better, a little bit better than Denver. Denver's getting nothing from their bench, nothing, right? And I think the best player in the series is Jokic by far.
Yeah.
But I think Clippers will win in 6.
Well, okay, so Clippers in 6 is funny because Both Denver games that they won,
Yeah.
I feel like they shouldn't have won.
The Clippers should have won.
The Clippers should have won.
That's the thing I was about to say too. Is that Clippers have had 2 heartbreaking losses.
Exactly.
Game 1
Yeah.
and Game 4.
100%.
Right, they should have won that. Game 1, it was just a meltdown there. They choked it away. Game 4,
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon crushed them
Oh
at the
man,
buzzer.
that was
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen a play like that before. I feel like Joker was actually trying to get the basket. I didn't.
Oh, that wasn't a pass.
That
he
was not-
he admitted it after. He goes, no, that was a shot.
Exactly.
He airballed it. And if you look at Joker when Aaron Gordon dunked it,
Yeah.
he just walked to the bench. He didn't celebrate.
Yeah.
He was getting ready for overtime.
Yeah.
He didn't think it counted.
And then, you saw Aaron Gordon run almost to the bench, right? Or to the
He ran to the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then Joker ran to the bench.
Yeah.
Walked to the bench.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair, right? So, like, now, I think we can both agree, like, Clippers will move on.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move over to the East side. East side, you have, we already talked about the Cleveland Cavaliers and Miami Heat. Let's talk about the other matchup. The New York Knicks taking on the
Detroit Pistons.
Detroit Pistons.
Right. So I think at the beginning of the series, I was a little worried about the Knicks because I thought I didn't like how they were playing going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Just didn't think their defense was as good as it was last year.
Yeah.
But as a series of so I had I had Detroit pulling out the upset. But I'll stick with it for now, right? But I'm just watching the series kind of unfold, and you're kind of seeing how important experience is, right? There's not a lot of good experience on the Pistons,
Exactly.
and Knicks are wisely taking advantage of their inexperience, and you're seeing just a lot of mistakes being made on the Pistons side of things in terms of execution, right?
Yeah.
And it's normal for young teams to make, and New York is wisely capitalizing on those mistakes, right? So now,
So in this case, you have the New York Knicks taking on the Detroit Pistons. We both agree that New York Knicks are gonna move on. They're facing the Celtics versus Orlando Magic. Prior to this, you said that it's not a lock, and I'm kind of stunned that the Celtics did not win the last game.
same.
And so now you have to think to yourself, I knew Orlando was good, but now it's kind of like I still have Celtics winning this whole thing.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion? Do you still have the Celtics
So
winning
before
this?
the playoffs started, I thought the Celtics were gonna
Sweet.
cruise to the conference finals
Oh, yeah.
until they play Cleveland
Yeah.
and probably beat Cleveland in 6.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Boston right now is Tatum dealing with the wrist injury. He missed one game,
Yeah.
one playoff game already. Jaylen Brown is dealing with a knee injury, and Drew Holiday missed Game 3
Yeah.
with hamstring, and he's expected to miss today's game as well. So
Okay.
expected to miss. Game 4.
Yeah.
Right? With the hamstring as well. So my whole thing is his health, right? Celtics aren't healthy right now. They'll beat Orlando. I thought they were going to sweep.
I thought so too.
Yeah, I thought they were going to sweep Orlando, but injuries are getting in the way with that. You're seeing some fatigue set in with Boston as well, right? And so Orlando was able to win Game 3 by 2 points, right? So I think Boston will probably end up winning in 5,
Yeah.
right? Probably beat Orlando in 5, but something to keep an eye on are the injuries, right? I think the only thing stopping the Celtics from going to the finals is an injury, and even if they get to the finals limping, I don't know how they're going to beat the West. Whoever represents the West.
I mean, okay, so now you have. Okay, so far so good. Cleveland Cavaliers are still healthy, right? If we see Cleveland taking on the winner of Indiana Bucks, I think we can make a consensus decision that the Bucks will lose that series.
Yeah, I had Bucks losing before the playoffs. I didn't think Milwaukee Bucks could beat Indiana Pacers because if you look up how they played against each other these last couple of years,
Yeah.
And I know there were injuries last year, but Indiana eliminated Milwaukee last year as well. But the Bucks just don't match up well with the Pacers. They lose to them
Every time.
They lose to them all the time. Indiana runs them off the floor because Indiana has athleticism, they have speed, and they have shooting.
Yeah.
The Bucks don't have a lot of that. They're a slow team, right? These guys are, the fastest guy on their team is probably Giannis still, right? And he's been in the league for 11 years now, right?
Yeah.
So the issue is that they're just not quick enough to the ball, and defensively they're not where they should be. Now they got the big win in Game 3, but that's what Gary Trent scoring 37 points.
When does that ever happen?
Yeah, it's Gary Trent going to do that again? You got the Gary Trent game. Gary Trent did his job. You don't really expect that from Gary Trent anymore, right? No. And Dame is, Dame had the blood clot issue. He's been back for a couple games. He hasn't looked like himself, and that's understandable. Playoff season's different than regular season,
100%.
right? And so you're not gonna. So what are you really expecting from Dame, really, right? And maybe if he can give you a 25-point night, you're probably hoping for it. But the Game 4 would have shocked me if Milwaukee won Game 4. No, it wouldn't, right? But if the Bucks were to tie the series, I can't see them going into Indiana and winning Game 5. I think Pacers would probably win. I got Indiana probably winning in 6. Yeah.
So Indiana moves on to face the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah. Then the New York Knicks taking on the Boston Celtics. You mentioned the Bucks potentially losing to the Pacers. Where does that leave Giannis? Because there's rumors circulating with him and the Brooklyn Nets, and then Nick Wright. He had, I don't know if it's a crazy idea or a crazy rumor, but he said, why not the San Antonio Spurs? Because of the fact that San Antonio Spurs have multitude of draft picks. They can give up Stephon Castle. Their other rookie, I can't remember his name. They can give him up. Do you see a fit for Giannis alongside Wemby? And obviously De'Aaron Fox is running the point.
Yeah, that'd be a super team.
Yeah,
basically, right? That would be. If I'm, you're hearing a lot about Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. Because of the $60 million in cap space they have, and the multiple first-round picks that the Nets have,
and he has businesses apparently.
In New York too, right? Yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. But if you're Giannis, man, not only would I consider San Antonio, I would consider Houston as well. Like if you're Houston, instead of Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, isn't Giannis the move?
I think Giannis is the move.
Yeah.
Right? But who are you going to give up? Because the thing is, if you're comparing Houston's picks to San Antonio's picks...
Oh, right.
I think San Antonio has more.
Right.
I think Milwaukee, because they re-signed John Horst... extended John Horst's contract. I don't even know why. They got to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to go anywhere with an aging Brook Lopez, an aging Gary Trent, an aging Damian Lillard, an aging Bobby Portis. And you're barely making it on the first round.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the Giannis situation is definitely something to keep an eye on, and where he goes is going to be, I think could shake up the league, because if he's still a great player and everything like that, right? But imagine him with Wemby, or imagine him on Houston, or imagine him and another star in Brooklyn.
So that's the thing, though, right? Like you mentioned that he could change the game. He could change the entire league, right? But another person that could change the league is Kevin Durant, and he has rumors linked to Houston, San Antonio, New York, Miami. But one other team that wanted him at the deadline was the Minnesota Timberwolves. So now, if Minnesota loses to the Lakers, you have to think to yourself, how is Minnesota going to get over the hump? And the only way to do that is to shake it up. Julius Randle is coming off your books. That's 30 per gone out the window, right? Once that comes, you have $30 million to spend, kind of thing. And you can actually trade a lot of these picks and some future potential to the Phoenix Suns. But do the Phoenix Suns actually trade for him? Or sorry, do the Phoenix Suns actually trade away Kevin Durant if Bob Myers joins their front office?
So as soon as the season ended, I was like, Durant's done in Phoenix. Yeah. But then I started reading the reports and all that about potentially there's a Willie Green leave, the head coach of New Orleans Pelicans, Willie Green. Does he leave?
Willie Green.
Yeah. So does he leave New Orleans to join Phoenix as their coach?
Wasn't he fired?
He hasn't been fired. No,
he hasn't
but
been
fired. New Orleans Pelicans fired GM David Griffin and hired Joe Dumars.
Okay.
Joe Dumars hasn't decided what he's going to do with Willie Green yet, right? But if Willie Green is let go, he's a candidate to become the new head coach of Phoenix.
Really?
Wow. Willie Green and Kevin Durant have strong ties. I believe Willie Green was Kevin Durant's assistant coach in Golden State.
Was he?
Yeah, I believe so. There's some connection between Willie Green and Kevin Durant. I think that's it, right? He was an assistant coach at some point before he took the New Orleans job.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's a connection there. Secondly, there's a report that the Suns are looking to add Bob Myers, former Warriors GM, to the front office in Phoenix. Bob Myers is a Kevin Durant friend, right? He's KD's guy, right? So if Bob Myers joins the front office in Phoenix, how does he handle those Kevin Durant negotiations? What if he says he doesn't want to move Kevin Durant?
But that's the thing, though, right? Like now you're thinking, okay, you're gonna sign Devin Booker to 70 per.
Yeah.